I want to go to Parshat Vayechi. We have a few more points we want to finish up here. And Parshat Vayechi. So the first is like this. We were talking last time about the bracha to Menashe and Ephraim. And I want to show you something very interesting here. First of all, on page 272. And this is we're going to show how even Chumash. Remember, Austin, why don't you join us here? Join us at the table here. Everybody, make yourselves comfortable. Thank you very much, Ian. Everybody has a you know they always ask about what's the difference between learning Gemara and learning Chumash. Now you can learn Chumash the same way you learn Gemara, and what happens is as a result of learning Gemara, you learn Chumash differently. You do everything in life differently. When you learn enough Gemara, if you've experienced enough Gemara, what happens is you become what I call, it's my own expression, I call it, you become, the goal is to become a Gemara creature, right? Where everything becomes a Gemara, where it's like, it's like your wife says to you, what would you like for supper, milchiks or fleischiks? What do you want for supper? Meaty, milk, dairy or meat? Well, if I have dairy, then I won't do it. But if I have meat, then I'll be fleishik. And everything in life becomes like that. Your whole life becomes a Gemara, which is why the Torah leaders of the generation, why when even on what's called non-Torah issues, we turn to them. Because it's the same mind that's going to analyze the issue over here. It's the same exact mind that's going to analyze a social or a national issue as it is learning Gemara. It's just another Tosos for them. In the same way that they can understand the Tosos better than the rest of us, they understand the world better than the rest of us. So the whole in a Torah home, that's standard. If somebody would ask, my kids ask me a question, they say, "Daddy, are we going to do this?" My response isn't yes or no. My response is, "What's your havamina?" I say yes or no. My response is like when you're learning Gemara, what was the Gemara's havamina? What was the Gemara thinking before I got the answer? And the answer said no. Well, what were you thinking when you asked the question that I had to tell you no? Have you done that in Gemara class? Where you ask, what was the Gemara even thinking that the Gemara asked such a question? That's how we talk. That's standard in the home. Daddy, can I have money to go? Daddy, can I have money to go? To buy a new sweater? What's your havamina? I say yes or no. What was your havamina? Why would you know? Why would you even think I would say yes that you asked the question? The whole thing becomes it all becomes a Gemara. I heard one rabbi over here who was I call the ultimate Gemara creature. He was sitting at a Shabbos table apparently. One of the kids was bringing a salad to the table. The other kid suddenly got up out of his chair, turned and hit the kid. The salad fell. So everybody went, "Oi!" And he went, "Now you had a right to be there. Now you didn't see where you're going." The whole thing turned into a piece of baba kama. The whole thing turned into a piece of baba kama. So what happens is your mind simply becomes conditioned that way. That's the Jewish mind. This is the Jewish mind. Shaul Mofaz was at one point was the defense minister when they were doing the Gush Katif, the withdrawal from Gush Katif. So when they were tossing the people out of Gush Katif to give back the land. So Sharon felt that it would be in his best interest if he could get some religious backing for it that would help Congress. So what happened was he sent Shaul Mofaz, who was more traditional. Sharon was raised on a kibbutz. Shaul Mofaz is more traditional. He sent Shaul Mofaz to speak to Rav Elyashiv Zatzal. See if he could get Rav Elyashiv to get him some backing on this issue. So he went to Rav Elyashiv to try to bait him, try to draw Rav Elyashiv in, which was a bad mistake. So he goes to Rav Elyashiv, he says, "How much should we take into consideration loss of life to Jewish soldiers?" So Rav Elyashiv said, "Very much." He wouldn't commit. He didn't commit to anything. He just said, "Well, yeah, that's a very big consideration." So then Mofaz said to him, "Well, how?" I'm sure that he thought, "Well, I'll work the old rabbi." I'm sure he told Sharon before he went, "Just leave it to me. I'll work the old rabbi over here." So he goes and he says to Elyashiv, "And how much should we take into consideration the opinion of the Americans?" So Vayechi said to him, "I don't understand the question. The whole thing is being done because of the opinion of the Americans. I don't understand what." And so Mofaz turned around and he left with his tail between his legs. Like the old rabbi isn't the turtle that I thought he was. The man's a step ahead of me. So that's all a result of it. Now, that's why, the reason I bring that up in the introduction is take a look at Pasuk Yud Zayin over here. Interesting Gemara question. On Pasuk Yud Zayin, remember Yaakov goes and he crosses his hands. Okay, now look at Pasuk Yud Zayin on page 272. Vayar Yosef ki yoshis oviv yad yamino al rosh Ephraim. Yosef saw that his father put his right hand on Ephraim's head. Vayera be'einav, was bad in his eyes. Vayitmoch yad aviv lahoser osa me'al rosh Ephraim al rosh Menashe. He reaches for his father's hand to remove it. So the following question. A man who crosses his arms to give a bracha, Yaakov Avinu, when he crosses his arms, do you think that's an act that's done with forethought or without forethought?
With.
I would say with. You know, most people don't go in like this when they're giving a bracha. So if Yosef saw, you ready for the thumbs now? If Yosef saw that Yaakov did something with forethought, so why did Yosef think that Yaakov didn't understand what was going on? I mean, Yosef should have assumed, well, my father, crossing his arms, obviously understands what's going on. And if he's doing it, so he obviously thought of what I thought of, and he's still doing it in spite of that. So why is Yosef objecting? Well, whatever your objection is, well, didn't Yaakov think of that? He obviously must have, because he's crossing his hands. So, and if he's crossing his hands, he's doing it in spite, he knows why he's doing it, so he knows what the problem could be. You follow the question. What did Yosef think that Yaakov thought that Yosef decided to try to correct him? Do you follow the question? Alex, you follow the question? Okay? In other words, if I see, the example I gave is like this. If I see that you're a rational person, okay, you're a somewhat rational person, okay. If I see you a rational person smoking a cigarette, and so once in a while, annoying people will go over to somebody who's smoking, and they'll say something like, "You know, that's not healthy." Now, did you have a havamina that there's anyone in the 21st century who doesn't know that? Right? So if you're not an annoying person, if you're a well-meaning person, if you're an annoying person, there's no help for you. But other than rawhide. If you're a well-meaning person, and as intelligent, well-meaning person, I light up a cigarette, and you, the intelligent, well-meaning person, come over to me and tell me, by the way, that's not healthy. Now, for some reason, you must think that I'm not aware of what you're aware of. You follow? Otherwise, if you're an annoying person, so there's no restraint. But for someone who's well-meaning, why would you think I don't know what you know? And in knowing that I do know what you know, and I lit up a cigarette anyway, so obviously I'm not concerned about the health benefit, the harm. So why would you come over and tell me that? Do you follow the question? So if Yosef sees Yaakov crosses his arms, so obviously my father is crossing his arms, he's obviously aware what he's doing. And he's doing that with forethought. And Yosef says, no, it's not a good idea, Dad. Yeah, but your father obviously thought it was a good idea. So why did Yosef think that Yaakov wasn't aware of something that Yosef was aware of? That's the question. So I actually saw one of the, I had this question. That's why I'm so excited about it. I actually saw one of the commentaries mentions it. One of the commentaries actually brings it up in the Tiferes Tzion. Is brought down. I saw in a different sefer in the Shariar, and the Tiferes Tzion says like this. You see, Yosef thought that Yaakov thought. Like what? This is one of these who thought we. Yosef thought that Yaakov thought the following. When Yosef brings the sons over to Yaakov, the same way that it is more of an honor to have the right hand on the head of the one you're going to bless, the left hand on the younger son. It's also more of an honor when you bring them to bring the older one on your right side. I'm the father, and I'm bringing my sons to the grandfather. So I take the Bechor and I put him on my right, and I take the younger one and put him on my left, and I bring them over to the grandfather. Now, if the grandfather receives them that way, and he wants to get to the firstborn son, that means, how are they standing facing the grandfather now? They're standing in the opposite direction, in which case it would logically make sense to cross your hands, to get your right hand on the head of the Bechor. So when Yosef sees Yaakov cross his hands, Yosef is thinking that Yaakov is thinking that Yosef brought them in on Yaakov's left and right as opposed to Yaakov's right and left. And therefore Yosef says, no, Dad, I didn't do it the way you think I might have done it. I brought Menashe on my left so he'd be on your right. And I brought Ephraim on my right so he'd be to your left. I didn't bring them in the way you think I brought them in. That's what Yosef was worried Yaakov might have thought. That's why he's crossing. To that, Yaakov responds, no, Yadati b'ni Yadati. No, I know you're wise. I know you're wise. And I know that you wouldn't have done that because that would have created problems. And I realize you brought him in where the Bechor is to my right and the younger one is to my left. Yet in spite of that, what am I doing? I'm crossing my hands over because I want to get to the younger one. So what Yosef thought, you follow.
On verse 14, it already says that Jacob, what's it called? I think they're crossing, right? But Yosef doesn't protest until...
Oh, that's a good question. That's an excellent question. There are actually commentaries that say that these three verses are out of order. That it's Yosef protested as he saw Yaakov going to do it. There actually there's a big discussion on that because it really does not make sense in the order that it's written. Okay, in any event, let's go on. Thursday night we started speaking about where Yaakov calls in the brothers now, and he's going to give the brothers each individual brachas. Now, if you take a look at page 274, we want to focus on a few of the brothers over here. Vayikra Yaakov el banav vayomer he'asu ve'agil lechem es asher yikra eschem b'achris hayam. Yaakov calls the brothers, says, gather, and I will tell you what's going to happen at the end of days. So we mentioned the idea that he says gather together because each one's going to get an individual assignment. Right? We mentioned, I think, Thursday night. Each one's going to get an individual assignment, but Jews always have to remember, regardless of your individual assignment, that we are all on one team over here. And everybody's got a role to play on the team. Now, he says about Ruvain the following. Ruvain bechoriata kochi v'reshisoni yeser seis v'yeser uz. So we mentioned on Thursday, pachaz kamayim al tosar. You were spontaneous or impetuous. Water-like impetuosity. Ooh, good word. Al tosar, you therefore will not get the extra portion that you're supposed to get. Ki alisa mishke ve'avicha az chilalti yitzuyela. Okay, so you, Ruvain, you know you're impetuous, you're supposed to be the king, you're supposed to be the firstborn, you're supposed to be the Kohen. You lose it all. Now you want to hear something fascinating? What is a non-Kohen called? Anybody know? What's a non-Kohen called? A Yisrael. Okay, you could also be a Levi, but what is he also? There's another word for it that the Torah uses, right? Where you have a Kohen, comes in, and it says Hazar HaKarev Yumas. A Zar, which also means what? A Zar means a stranger. A Zar means a stranger. But a non-Kohen is called a Zar. A non-Kohen, in general, the generic word, you're either Kohen or you're a Zar. Okay? Not Zar like the Tsar of Russia. Zar meaning Zayin Reish, you are a non-Kohen. A non-Bechor, you only get one per family. There's only one firstborn per family. What does the Gemara refer to as a non-Bechor? A non-Bechor. It's called a Zar is a non-Kohen. A non-Bechor is what's called a Pashut. Pashut means ordinary. You have a Bechor, you have a Pashut. A non-king, you have a Melech. You know what a non-king is called? We only find one verse in Mishlei where it refers to somebody, you're either a king or you're a choshuch. Choshuch literally means a dark one. It means a lowly person. Okay? A lowly person. You're a Melech or a choshuch. Okay? So the three things that Ruvain lost, king, Kohen, and firstborn, the opposite is Pashut, Choshuch, and Zar. Pashut, Choshuch, and Zar spells three-letter words, Pei, Ches, Zayin. Spells what? Pachaz. Take a look at the Pashut, the top line. Pachaz kamayim al tosar. Pachaz kamayim, because you were impetuous like water. Therefore, you're not going to get the extra portion. What are you going to get? You're going to get exactly what pachaz is. You were impetuous, and therefore you get pachaz. Top of page 276, second line, second word. Pei stands for pashut. Ches stands for choshuch. Second word on 276. Second word, top line, second word. Pei stands for pashut. Ches stands for choshuch. Zayin stands for zar. That's what you get because of your impetuousness, your spontaneity, your impetuousness. Therefore, you're a what do you call it? A pachaz. Okay. Now, Shimon and Levi also get rebuked, and then he goes to take a look at pasuk Yud Gimel.
Those aren't like exactly blessings, are they?
No, to the contrary, he's rebuking him. The first three are going to get rebukes. The first three actually get rebuked. Reuven gets rebuked. Then Shimon and Levi get rebuked because of their anger, unleashing their anger on Shem. And that's why they're given brachas. Shimon and Levi are given a rebuke. And then the Rashi even says that when he gets to Yehuda, Yehuda starts backing away. He just has to back it away. Hey, like, I don't like where this is going, Dad. And Yaakov says, no, you're not getting a rebuke, you're getting a bracha. And he calls Reuven back, Reuven becomes royalty. Reuven, Yehuda ata yeducha achecha, you're the royalty. You're going to be the, what do you call it? You're going to be the head of, you're going to be the head of all the tribes. Do you see where it says, Lo Yosser Shevet mi Yehuda, top of page 278. Lo Yosser Shevet mi Yehuda, the scepter will not be removed from Yehuda. Umechokek bi bein ragov, page 278, right at the top. 278, right at the top. Ad ki yavo Shiloh, until Shiloh comes. Who's Shiloh? The Mashiach. V'lo yikas amim, and he will gather the nations. Now, it's just an amazing, it's really an amazing coincidence. What was this week? What was this week? The famous holiday. Right? This is it. This is Xmas this week, which is all about the false Messiah. Right? Isn't it interesting that in the Parsha that talks about this is generally the time of year that Vayechi falls out, and there's an allusion here to the Mashiach. Shiloh is going to come. The Mashiach is going to come. And this is specifically the week where the false Messiah is born. And so one of the commentaries points out, now you have to stay with this, gentlemen, you have to stay with this. You know what Roshei Tevos is? Roshei Tevos means the first letter of each word. You take the first letter of each word. Okay, now, take a look on that pasuk, top line. Okay, the first letter is low, the first word is low. Okay? Look at the next two first letters on the top line on page 278. Lo, then you have a yud and a shin. Lo yesh, which you would translate as there was, there. How do you translate that? There is not. Lo yesh. You see where I am? Mm-hmm. Okay, Alex, you see that?
Yeah, I don't read Hebrew very well.
That's okay, you are now. The first word is lo.
Lo.
Then the first letter of the next word is a yud.
Yeah.
And then the first letter of the next word is a shin. So take the yud and the shin, spells yesh. Lo, yesh, there is not. Then look at the first three letters of the next three words. You have a mem, and a vav, and a mem. What's a mum?
Mumser?
No, a mum is a blemish. Look at the next two letters. Resh and ayin are the first two letters from Raglav and E'ad, right? Ra. So we have so far lo yesh mum ra. There is no bad blemish. Look at the next four words. Chof yud shin vav ki yeshu, like Yeshu. There is no bad blemish like Yeshu. All right? You know what Yeshu is? You are aware of Yeshu is. Yeshu is the acronym that Yoshke is always used for in the Gemara. Yeshu stands for Yemach Shemo V'Zichro, may his name and memory be blotted out. So the Torah says over here, the Roshei Tevos, Lo yesh mum ra ki Yeshu. There is no bad blemish like Yeshu. And this is specifically in the pasuk that talks about when the real Mashiach is going to come. And if it's the pasuk where it talks about where the real Mashiach is going to come, there's an allusion to the false Messiah. Now, you should know from a Jewish perspective, the history of Yeshu, in case you're wondering, it is Christmas after all, it was or it is, or whatever it is. And from the Jewish perspective, it is in the censored edition of the Shas. The Christian censors in the Middle Ages did not take kindly to the Jewish version of what happened to Yeshu. According to, we have the uncensored edition of the Shas. I have a copy at home in the Gemara and Sanhedrin, and it says openly that the Sanhedrin executed him. Now, there is a bit of confusion. Exactly, was there one Yeshu or two Yeshu? In other words, the one that what's his name made the movie about. Which one is it? Which one is it? You should know that I grew up until I must have been about 17, 18, till I thought Christ was a swear word. Because it's the only time I ever heard it was when a Bear quarterback threw an interception. That's what everybody in the room would say, and I had no idea what the word actually meant, which means the christened one, which means he's been the anointed one. I had no idea because it was only used on occasions like interceptions, bad pass interceptions, and fingers getting hit by hammers, or getting tickets, for parking in front of hydrants. That was the only time I ever heard. So I think about 17. until I even knew what the word meant. So I actually thought it was a bad word. Now, according to our tradition, the Sanhedrin executed. That was clear. There is one opinion that they had to get opinion. They had to get permission from the Roman. There was a guy Pontius Pilate.
Pilatus, yeah, Pilate, yeah.
Pontius Pilate. How do you pronounce it? What's
Pilatus in Greek.
Pilatus in Greek. Okay, Pontius. The only reason I remember that name, by the way, because the Blackhawks once had a player named Pierre Pilat. So Pontius Pilate was close enough. So that was one of those history names that I remembered. But that was so according to the censored editions of the Shas, the Christian censors took them out, and according to the Christian the edition censors, the Sanhedrin clearly executed him. That's what it says. It was on Pesach, according to some, because it was when they would execute any public what's it called, inciter to idol worship, or they would, and then the Gemara goes through the entire story about how he was born and so on and so forth. So that was what God. That's what the commentaries say. That's an allusion over here. When the expression. Have you ever heard the expression "Leka mili de lo remiza beoraisa"? There is nothing that is not alluded to in the Torah. Nothing that is not alluded to in the Torah. Whether or not that's the plain meaning, certainly not. But it's certainly anything you want. You'll find everything alluded to in the Torah. Okay. Now take a look at pasuk Yud Daled. This is a fascinating insight. It says, first of all, I skipped pasuk Yud Gimel. Zevulun l'chof yamim yishkon. Zevulun will live at the seashore. V'hu l'chof anios v'yachason al tzidon. How does he translate it? There's a bit a bit poetic. Zevulun shall settle by seashores. Page 278. Zevulun shall settle by seashores. He shall be at the ship's harbor, and his last border will reach Sidon. Okay. So you are aware that Zevulun and Yisachar had a partnership. What is Yisachar's role? Let's see. Yisachar chamor gorem. Yisachar is the hard-boned donkey. Rovetz beidam mishbasayim, crouching between the borders. That means as a donkey, he took on the burden of Torah. He took on the yoke of Torah. The person, like anything else in life, if you want to master something, you're going to have to do it with single-minded devotion. Nobody ever rose to world-class level in any area of life without single-minded devotion. So one of the guys once told me here he knew a girl who was on the United States Olympic swim team. She was from Florida State. She made the United States Olympic swim team. So apparently she told him that between the ages of 9 and 17, there were 4 days that she was not in a pool. Between the ages of 9 and 17. I mean, if you want something, you're going to have to work at it. You're going to take on whatever it is. You want world class. You want to get to the top, you're going to have to take it. Andre Agassi was once walking out of a tennis tournament when he was 12 years old, and his father, he finished second. So they were walking through the parking lot, and his father took the second place trophy, and he threw it in the garbage dumpster, and he said, "We didn't enter the tournament to finish second." That's what Agassi said. And so all these people, they were playing tennis from the earliest age. Tiger Woods was playing golf when he was 3 years old. All these people, if you want, you're going to have to work at it. Remember Pete Maravich? Did any of you hear of Pete Maravich? Pete Maravich is a basketball player who he said once that at 12 years old he was shooting baskets 8 hours a day. At 12 years old. Now, that's the only way you're going to get it. Person who wants to master Torah, you're going to be a hard-boned donkey. That means like a donkey carries the burden. Person who wants to learn Torah and master Torah, you want to become a Rabbi El Yashiv, you have to be willing to shoulder the burden of Torah. You also have to have a wife who's willing to allow you to shoulder the burden of Torah. Rabbi Yashiv's wife, when Rabbi Yashiv got married, so the day after his wedding, he was hanging around the house. He was learning in the house. And his wife said to him, "Why are you here?" And Rabbi Yashiv said, "Well, the Torah says you have to gladden your wife the first year of marriage, so I'm going to gladden you." His wife said, "You want to gladden me, you'll go to the Beis Medrash." So Rabbi Yashiv walked off to the Beis Medrash. He used to learn. He had a Beis Medrash. He learned by himself in this Beis Medrash. His schedule was he used to go to sleep at 10:30 at night. And he would wake up at 2 in the morning. And then he would learn from 2 till Vasikin. And then from 2 till about 6, then he would daven Shacharis. He would learn in the morning hours. Rabbi Yashiv once explained, they said to him, that's a strange schedule. Why not just go to sleep at 1 in the morning and get up at 5? Why go to sleep at 10:30, get up at 2? He said, at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, nobody bothers you. There are no weddings. There's nothing to distract you. Nobody's going to call you up at 4 o'clock in the morning. At 11 o'clock at night, people are going to bother you. He once had a couple guys knocked at the door of the house. They had to come and ask a question. It was about 10:30 at night. They knock on the door. The Rebbetzin tells them, the Rav went to sleep. So they're looking like, that's strange. The Gadol Ador went to sleep at 10:30 at night. You picture him learning in the wee hours of the morning. She goes, well, he gets up at 2. So they look with a baffled look. He said, well, why? She said, well, he has to know how to answer your questions. Right? And, it doesn't happen by itself. Now, when she was on her deathbed, some 60 years later, the Rebbitzin was on her deathbed, and Rav Elyashiv, the family was sitting around the bed, and at a certain point, she sensed that Rav Elyashiv was in the room. So with her last ounce of strength, she picked up her finger, picked up her hand, and she did like this. Go to the Beis Medrash. He got up, he went to the Beis Medrash. He was in the Beis Medrash when he came in and informed that his wife died. I mean, you want to be a Rav Elyashiv, it doesn't happen by itself. You want to be a Rav Chaim Kanievsky, it doesn't happen by itself. It means you have to shoulder the burden. So Yisachar and Zvulun had a partnership. What was the partnership? Zvulun earns the Parnasa, and Yisachar sits and learns Torah. This is the forerunner to today's Kollel setup. And it's a partnership. In our day and age, the partnership is between the husband and the wife. A wife works if she chooses to. She wants a guy who's going to learn in Kollel. She chooses to shoulder the burden of the Parnasa. If she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to. That's a value to her, therefore she does it. Her father may want to help support her husband so he can learn the head of the Kollel. There are people who are willing to invest in this person's learning. So, the wife works, the husband, they have a partnership. It's a Yisachar Zvulun partnership. Zvulun earned the Parnasa, and he supported Yisachar. Now, nowadays, they actually have it in the halachic realm where you make a contract. You actually draw up a contract. In other words, there are 2 ways to support Torah. I could donate money, I could donate money to a yeshiva or a kollel, and I certainly get reward for supporting Torah that way. There's a different level of support where I actually contract with you. I contract with you. I will provide you with your living needs in exchange for 50% of of the reward that you're going to get. That is a discussion how the reward is divided. Is the reward divided 50%, 50%, or the reward is 100% and 100%? Because reward is spiritual. If you take some of the flame from my candle, so you've got 100% flame and I've got 100% flame. We're talking about something spiritual. So that's discussed, whether it's 100%, 50%, however you split it. The way it's split but that's called a Yisachar Zvulun relationship, and it is contracted. It is contracted, and you've taken on the support of that one person. Some people contract with wealthy men who contract with many people, but what it means is they are providing you with your very basic living expenses, and they're making it possible for you to be able to learn. Now, I saw a very beautiful explanation. Why is Yisachar compared to a donkey? So, very interesting. Did you ever get discouraged? Those of you who have come, if you say no, then I don't believe you because I'm discouraged myself. But sometimes, you open up a Gemara or a Mishnah and you start looking like, wow, there's a long way to go over here. How could anybody ever learn all of that? And then you look on the shelf, there's a whole bunch of big, nasty books on the shelf over there, and when you open up each one, they got about 4 different levels of print. There's small, smaller, smallest, and minuscule, all on one page. You've never seen more small. My goodness, how's anybody ever supposed to learn all of this? Right? Ever get that feeling? Right? Okay. So it's a very common feeling we get. It's interesting that we only get that feeling when it comes to Torah. No one ever gets that feeling when you're waiting in a doctor's office. I walk into the doctor's office and a bunch of sports magazines on the thing. No one ever looks at it. I'm never going to read them all, so I might as well not do any of them. You just, you never, if you have 70, I remember when cable came out. So people were not able to get, 180 stations or 620 stations, whatever it was. Do you know anybody ever, well, I'm never going to be able to watch all of it, so I'm not going to watch any of it. No, you pick one and you watch it. Right? We save that attitude for Torah. When it comes to Torah, well, I'm never going to be able to finish it. You know what? Oh, I just close the book, go do something else, go watch a cable TV show. You understand? No, that's pure evil inclination, trying to pull us away from what's important. So there was a man named Rabbi Lazer Plachinsky. Rabbi Lazer Plachinsky was Rabbi Yashiv's brother-in-law, as it happens. So that should tell you something about the man's stature. Rabbi Lazer Plachinsky, a major Torah scholar. He was once walking in old Jerusalem about 80 years ago, 90 years ago, whatever it was. He passes by a quarry. And there are these Arab workers who are quarrying out Jerusalem stone out of the mountainside. So they quarry out, they dig out the stone, they quarry out the stone, they load it up on a donkey. And then the donkey has to carry the stone up the incline out of the quarry. So Rabbi Plachinsky is standing there watching, and one of the Arabs loads up a donkey, and the donkey takes a couple of steps and he stops. So the Arab takes a stick and he smacks the donkey. Donkey doesn't move. Smacks him again, the donkey doesn't move. So the Arab goes over, he takes a towel, and he drapes the towel over the donkey's head. Donkey puts his head down, starts walking. Next thing you know, the donkey's out of the quarry. So Rabbi Eliezer Plachinsky said, I now understand the pasuk why Yisachar is compared to a donkey. What happened to that donkey in the quarry? The Arab loaded him up with stones. The donkey took a look. I got to get from here all the way up there. I'm never going to get all the way up there. Forget it. So he doesn't move. So what does he do? He puts a towel over his head. He takes a look down and says, oh, I got to get from here to here. Donkeys don't have good memories. He doesn't remember. He has to get up to the, he just looks down. I got to get from here to here. He takes a step. I got to get from here to here. He takes another step. I got to get from here to here. He takes another. Next thing you know, you're outside the quarry. Because that's what the attitude when a person's studying Torah is supposed to be. Don't worry about the end of the book. You're studying this pasuk. You're studying this halacha. You're studying this mishnah. You're studying this page of Gemara. Study that. That's right. Study. Just study it. Learn it. One page at a time. Next thing you know, you'll finish. You're worried about finishing. Don't worry so much about finishing. Worry about enjoying the trip. Right? That's what you're doing. One step at a time. There's actually a medrash that says, there's a very interesting medrash in Vayikra. The medrash of Vayikra says, a guy walks into the base medrash the first time. Imagine a person walks into a base medrash. You're trying to remember your first time. You walk into a base medrash, into a yeshiva, and you take a look, and all you see is shelves full of svarim. And your attitude is, my goodness, who could learn all of this? And you just turn around and you walk out. The medrash says, that's what a fool does. The wise man walks in, and he says, all right, I'll learn 2 halachas today, and I'll learn 2 halachas tomorrow, and eventually I'll finish the entire Torah. That's what the wise man does. What does that mean? That means, what are you looking at? Why all of a sudden do you think you have to finish it all? You're not going to finish it all. I can tell you right now, you're not going to finish it all. And to the contrary, the more you study, the more you're going to feel deficient. Because like anything else in life, the more you study it, the more you realize how vast it is. A person who takes a look at the water, you take a look at the ocean, wow, it's a big ocean. A person who goes diving down into the ocean, he sees that the ocean is much bigger than the person who's standing on the surface. So we stand on the surface, I don't know how that, the ocean may be 5 feet deep for all I know. I don't know, it just looks long, right? And it's 5 feet deep. Till you go diving down the ocean, you see there are worlds underneath, and there are worlds in the ocean. The more you go into Torah, the more you see, you're not going to finish it anyway. You're going to say, don't try. What are you trying to finish it for? It's not our job to finish it. Our job is to be involved in it and study it. So that's the idea of Yisachar being compared to a donkey. The same way that a donkey takes one step at a time. That's our job. Take one step at a time. If you take one step at a time, as many thousands and thousands of people have done in the past, then eventually you surprise yourself. You turn around and say, my goodness, I've accomplished an awful lot. A lot more than I thought I personally could have accomplished, each person on an individual level.